Today's episode is brought to you by Tor Johnson Records, whose newest release is the Fitness 7-inch by Northeast Regional. This release shows Northeast Regional leveling up from a solo project to a full-blown band, and Fitness benefits from writing as a group as well as getting to play some live shows before recording. The songs on Fitness build on Lungfish's less is more songwriting approach, but increase the BPMs in lieu of hypnotic arpeggios. The three-guitar attack from Jeff Byers, Mike Morris, and James Dubeck echoes Rocket from the Crypt's heavy rock riffs, Party of Helicopters' metallic leads, The Hive's hyperpunk energy, Menegar's sense of melody, and even elements of Danzig that all coalesce into a colossal wall of sound. Check out the first track, Agencies, on the Tor Johnson Bandcamp and pre-order the record now. The first 30 copies get an extra special gift. After that, head over to torjohnsonrecords.com and check out the thousands of records across all genres available in their web store. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine. You can sign up for free now, but of course, if you want to support the show, you can pick a tier that works for you and help us keep growing. I also never really mentioned that you can follow us on Instagram at Everything Remade. Basically just show updates at this time, but I also do like to put out the call for who you want to hear on the show. So yeah, stop by patreon.com/humanmachine and follow us on Instagram at Everything Remade. And now, I like to play something for you. You're hearing If Money Is Power by Phoenix Bodies, featuring my pal Derek Black on vocals. The song comes off of their legendary album, Raise the Bullshit Flag, which you can find online. I first met Derek over 20 years ago in a driveway, waiting for bands to play in the basement of a house I would go to live in for over 20 years.
My desire to play music was really just like fully rooted like in punk rock and like outsider art like existing. Like I don't want to sound like too pretentious around that, but like
oh no, we get there.
But like I was like in 7th grade, like I was approached to be in a band, and like at the time, around that, I was super into like very entry level punk rock stuff, like the Sex Pistols and the Misfits and stuff. Mm-hmm. And to me, being like 13 years old, that was like crazy out of this universe music for someone that had mostly just lived in small town Indiana up to that point. Like I'm from Greensburg, Indiana. Like you might not know that, but it's like a real small town. It's like halfway between Cincinnati and Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
And I just moved to Indianapolis around that time, and like the only friends I made were just like weird punk kids. And I was more just interested in being a part of like this outsider community rather than like, oh, I want to play music that sounds like X, Y, and Z. It was more like, oh, I want to be a part of something that just like spews out like a disgusting substance all over everything else that everyone likes. So that was always kind of my vibe with like creating things. Is I just didn't want to be like something else, but I don't know. Like the first 2 CDs I ever bought were Nevermind the Bullocks and Beck Odelay. And I don't know. I don't have a song in mind. Sorry to say.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly understandable. I mean, some like eh, if you ask me, I don't know that I'd come up with one right off the bat either. But I liked Don's answer a lot, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stick with this question for a minute because that was very unexpected from Don. Just, oh yeah, Guns N' Roses, Patience.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, like definitely. I think that answer is even if people do know like that one song that really set them off or whatever. I think that answer is in a lot of people's DNA. It's like that's where it came from. It was like I don't know. I mean, maybe it was some people get that out of team sports or whatever,
Hmm.
but then like us weirdos and stuff, like we gravitate to different things. And it's like comic books or music or whatever, and some of us, just gravitate to all of that. But like
Yeah, for sure.
when you were asked to be in a band, did you play anything, or what was it just like, okay, well, I guess now's the time to start?
I didn't. And when I was asked to be in a band, I didn't have like anything to contribute at that moment. I was like, sorry, like I don't have anything. But like a year or so later, I had saved up some money and bought like a Squire like P bass or something like that for like $300. And started playing in a band when I was like 14 or 15 or something like that. With my pal Kevin, that was also in like a later Phoenix Bodies lineup, and we were in that band Holy Bible together. And yeah, we started playing in this band called The Seamen, and we played at like really small places in Indianapolis, like Smedley's Dream and like the Smith Valley Community Center. And that was probably like 1997, 98 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
people that asked that sort of planted the seed, and then it was just like, okay, and so like bass was the first thing, and is that the only thing that you play?
Uh, I mean, that's the only thing I've really played like on recordings and stuff. I play synthesizers and I play guitar and stuff like that at home for myself. Like where I'm at with music now is it's like kind of just like I avoid any and all of the work aspects of it. It's really just purely a hobby. Like I like to make music, but I don't care to be other people's entertainment, and I feel like I've said all I have to say.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't think that's exactly true, but I feel like I've contributed enough that I can let other people do what they want to do now, and I don't have to be a part of the dialogue anymore. So yeah, I play music probably like 2 hours a week or something by myself at home,
Yeah.
and that's what I like to do. But it's not like I need to spend 4 hours a day practicing, and I need to spend all this time recording stuff and cleaning it up and revising. And then so you mentioned Don from Usurp Synapse. We played in a band together for a little bit too, and it was like I listened to your episode with him like 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh my god, I miss Don so much. And then the next week they were using one of my vans to play some shows, and I was like, all right, I'll go to your show. And it's like Don was just on my doorstep, and it was like no time had passed even though I literally had seen them for like 20 years. And yeah, it was just like great to reconnect and like see his other side of it. But like I went to their show, and it was like we showed up at 3 o'clock or something for them to play at like 11 p.m. It's like, this is what I do not miss, is just
Right.
sitting in a room that's painted black for like 7 hours while someone plays the Cro-Mags really loud on a PA. Like I don't miss that at all in my life, but I don't want it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like, similar sentiment from my wife, who like was the keyboard player in Akameli, and like, you
Hmm.
know, we have had recording projects over the years, and I'm like, do you ever want to like take like make a band out of one of these things and like go play some shows? And she's like, oh no. She's like,
Yeah.
I do not miss that shit whatsoever. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, I can like, I can see it from both sides. I mean, I certainly still really enjoy playing shows. Of course, like it's kind of it's kind of like, even though I'm like still like fairly active and stuff, like I play drums a bit. I play guitar a lot, and like, I'm fairly active. But it's weird how you it's like you almost forget like just the the what the adrenaline and like playing for 20 minutes like does to your body. And like,
Yeah.
you really have to be like, find like, you have to be in shape for that. Like, you have to be used to that. And so, we played that show, and then I'm just like, the next day I'm just like, yeah, I just don't want to do anything today. I feel a little like I got my ass beat, and yeah. And then there's, yeah, I mean, like, I was recording guitars today, and I recorded with this like Epiphone Les Paul that I have, and I was like, I need to sell that guitar because I cannot, like, this guitar is way too heavy. I cannot play this guitar anymore. I'm not like used to it. I'm not like in shape. I'm not in like Les Paul playing shape. Like, there's just some, like, your body just like, you, after a certain point, you have to do things like, you have to work up to something, and you have to do it like slowly, but then you have to do it consistently, or your body's just like, no, I don't want to do that. And as much as I love playing shows, my body is sort of in that mode where it's like, you don't like, why are you doing this? And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's it's interesting to like, you're not the first person that's like, yeah, I just like to play music, like, and I have no ambitions like to, show it to people or anything like that. I mean, there's like lots of times when I am just playing just to have fun, and I I do obviously still record a lot of stuff, and et cetera, et cetera. And every once in a while I'm playing, and I'm like, I'll play something that's really cool, and I'm like, oh, I'll totally remember that. And of course I don't remember it, right? So
Oh God, I'm the worst of that. I never remember anything.
yeah, so it is kind of neat though too, right? Because like, if you don't record it, if you don't, if you don't like save it for posterity, then it like
Hmm.
almost has this like more special quality in your brain.
Yeah.
Like, it lives like perfectly, right? Because
Along that thread, like right before I saw Dawn again, I was moving around some boxes in my house, and I found a CD of a band that we did for like 3 months. And I was like, I don't even know if this works. And I set it aside, and it'd probably been sitting like on my record player near it for like a month. And then I saw Dawn. I was like, oh my God, I have that CD that you recorded for this band we were in. And I was like, I'll give it to you tomorrow, because I went to two of the Usurp Synapse shows. And I hadn't even listened to it. I didn't even know if it worked. And I put it into my girlfriend's she had a CD player in her car, which neither of us even knew that she had one in there. And to hear these songs that like, I just like, no one remembered them. Like, it was so strange to be like, oh yeah, like we spent like, 15, 20 hours a week just like hanging out, writing and playing these songs all the time for like 3 or 4 months. And then even after all that, you still just like completely forget about it. It was like hearing stuff from another planet. Like I didn't remember anything that we did at all.
Yeah.
To catch up with him to see if he listened to it or remembered anything from it. But that was, I mean, that's what I like doing, is just like collaborating with friends and making new things. And I don't like begrudge anyone for wanting to do that or wanting to make recordings and share it with the world, because that was super important for me for a while. But at a point, it's like, oh yeah, you've done this like a lot. Maybe there's some other stuff you can do that's more interesting, or just like can expand myself as a human being more than sitting in a dark room for 7 hours waiting to go on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. How did the CD hold up, like from your memory? Like you said, it's practically alien at that point, but like,
Yeah.
but was it like it was a good like feeling, like hearing it again?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it was like both better and worse than I remembered.
Yeah, it's funny how that can be the case. It can be better and worse. Yeah.
Yeah, because I looked on it fondly, because like my memory of it without hearing it was like, oh yeah, that was such like cool music, and it was a shame that like Josh, one of the guitar players, moved away right after that. We didn't do anything with it. But like I'd moved on. I was like, oh yeah, well, whatever. Like it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I listened to it and I was like, these songs aren't as like cool or hard hitting as I thought they were, like in my brain. But listening to them, there was like different nuance to it, where it was like actually way more kind of like pop oriented than I imagined. And I think it's just like, hey, you make something 20 years ago, like times are going to change, and what's ever like edgy and weird then is now just kind of like a commonplace thing. But yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, that kind of happened one time, like with something, like I found a cassette tape that we had recorded. It was like this thing that we thought was really like novel and abrasive, and it was like two drum kits and just like super loud, like distorted bass, and like three people screaming, and we recorded it on this like boombox, which like doesn't, it sounds that sounds like, oh yeah, of course it's gonna sound like shit, but this boombox, like for some reason, like I was able to get like, I mean, some people have paid money for recordings that this boom box can like match, and but it was just like I put this tape in after I found it. I like remembered the name, and it's got that on there, and I was like, oh no way. And I put it in, and I was like, no, we were just like drunk, I guess. Like this was not good. Like, we were 21, like just turned 20 on, and it was, and we were, yeah, I guess we were just drunk. This wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like wild, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't even like, oh well, this feels like chaotic or a little bit unhinged, it wasn't even like oh, this is like super messy, and so it's kind of interesting in that respect. It was like, just, I don't know. It was just like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, like it's great to have like a creative outlet and stuff, but maybe you don't need to like package it and sell it to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can just love that experience and have that there. And yeah, it doesn't have to be a big event or production or anything all the time.
It felt really good at the time, and that's all that ended up becoming of it, and that's fine. I obviously do obviously record like a lot of songs, and I don't know, I have like a really like, you know, you said that like, you know, one of your primary interests was like doing this stuff with your friends, you know, and that's kind of like me to a fault is that like the thing that I was recording earlier today is just because like somebody that I know has been like, I really want to like try doing vocals in a band, and this just hasn't happened for them, you know, and I'm just like, you know what, like we're gonna tick that box for you. And like I just can't help myself in that kind of situation. I'm just like, I I don't know, like I feel like when I was a kid, like a lot of people didn't take me seriously like when I wanted to do something, you know, and
Yeah.
like when I was real little, it was like sports, you know, because that's what the other kids did. And so it was like, oh, you want to play football with us? Even though I like weighed like 50 pounds, you know, when I was like 10 years old. And so I like just got my ass beat, but I did it. And it's like, I always had that thing where it's like, I feel like if I feel like somebody's not, if they're not getting their chance, or like people aren't taking them seriously, like that offends me for some reason, you know. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like, okay, like what's 4 songs, like okay, let's write 4 songs, let's do this, and then like you can say you did it at least, you know. But
Yeah. For sure.
yeah.
For some
And
people, like the production aspect of everything that I'm very tired about is what they're passionate about. And they love taking like a creative output and turning it into, you know, an album or like a produced song or like whatever. And that's great.
oh yeah, I mean I basically like, you know, it's like DIY is like arts and crafts for me in that sense too. You know, like I actually would like to learn how to like sew and crochet and stuff, like but like for now, like, you know, making like tape cases out of cardboard and stuff is like hitting that it's hitting that itch for me. So, you know,
Yeah.
later on it'll be the other thing. Like when I'm done making, you know, done screen printing reversed out like recycled album jackets, you know, then I'll be making like sweaters and stuff for people. But for now, it's still records. But yeah, you said like from a pretty early age that you were like, you know, playing around Indian stuff. The first bands that I really knew like you to be a part of, and I think that like this was like kind of like when we met, was like, you know, Mara Akate and Phoenix
Mhm.
Bodies. Like, was Mara Akate the first band that you were in where you like recorded for 7 inches and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. I joined that band when I was in high school. So I went to a weird high school in Muncie, Indiana. I basically went to college for my last 2 years of high school.
Oh, okay.
And the Marakate guys, they went to the university where my high school was, it was Ball State in Muncie. And I would go see bands and stuff in Muncie. And like right at the end of my junior year, I saw Marakate somewhere, like a YWCA or something like that, and loved it and got their tape and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was like, I was super into like Botch had just come out with We Are the Romans, and I had just seen like Page 99 and Orchid and stuff around that time. And I was like, all right, this is like a cool interesting type of music that's happening right now. And I just thought it was awesome. And I kind of just went back home to Indianapolis for the summer after like seeing them at the show. And then in fall, I go back to school, and Colin, the guitar player for Maracate, lived across the street in this little house, and we didn't know each other. But they had a bunch of pictures from the last show that they had played, and I was in a bunch of them, and like that they had on the refrigerator or whatever. And then they kept seeing me across the street, and him and this guy Adam Norris, who lived there and was in Phoenix Bodies, like came over and introduced themselves, and they started calling me across the street Derek. That's who I was for a while. And at some point, like their bass player Clint and Maracate quit to do more like adult life things, as you might do when you're 22 or whatever. I think he like moved to Australia or something. And me and this guy from Indianapolis, Brian Allen, who was in some other bands like that, both like tried out to play bass. And Brian played bass, and they're like, we want you both to be in the band, and we want to do like this electronic stuff or whatever with the music. So they gave me like this crazy like computer setup, and I played the computer in Maracate for like 4 or 5 shows or something. And
okay, what were you doing? Like playing like samples?
What was I doing? yeah. Samples. And I had like a sequencer, like a keyboard type thing that I would play along.
Okay.
There's all sorts of stuff going on, but yeah, I don't really know what I was doing. I just trying to remember. I remember that I had like a drive full of a whole bunch of samples, like wave files and stuff, that I would play through like Winamp or something. I would just have them queued up and just like hit enter to play them at different times. And they just thought it was funny to have like a big whole like CRT monitor, like computer setup like on the stage. And I was like laying down and playing it. And I had like some type of like Korg, like synthesizer sequencer thing too, that I would play. I only did that for like 3 or 4 shows. Brian quit playing bass, and I started playing bass. And I actually went on tour with them for the last 2 weeks of high school. But our drummer, this is sad, I shouldn't be laughing, but his cousin committed suicide in the middle of the tour, so we canceled it like after the first day. And that's like when we broke up the first time. And it was funny because like Maracate and Usurp Synapse both broke up like the same week. And yeah, there were times where we were at shows that we were supposed to be playing, but we weren't. And we were just like bummed that we were there and not playing for different reasons.
Yeah. What, the cousin wasn't with you all, right?
No,
It was
no,
just
no.
like,
It was like,
y'all heard about it?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we heard about it, and he's like, I have to go back home. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, I've certainly had to cancel tours for like less important reasons. You know, just like the drummer didn't bring like money to eat because he thought we were gonna get like paid mountains of cash every night or something. You know, just like, well,
Yeah.
you know, we're not gonna make it to California on this in this arrangement. But yeah, that's wild. And I mean, I'm looking like directly at, I guess, what you said was your bass rig for Maracate. I still own that stuff that I bought from you in 2002 or whatever. The Lab Series head and the PV 4x12.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have the bass anymore because the neck got warped, so I traded the body for like a different bass. But
Cool.
but yeah, I that Lab Series is it is a workhorse. It will do whatever it needs to do whenever it needs to do it. I think it will outlive both of us for sure.
It already has. It's probably older than both of us already.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those were like BB King's, like they started making those,
I forgot that I sold that to you. I thought that I kind of remember having it, and for some reason I thought that I bought it from you, but I guess it was later around.
Yeah. You were because you just got like that. Now I don't remember like what the deal with, but you had just got that bass that was like, I want to say it was like aluminum, but maybe I'm thinking maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah,
it was. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bought a Travis Bean bass from a guy at Missing Link Records that was just like, hey, I have this bass. Do you know anyone that want it? And I was like, hell yeah, I want it, because I loved like Arab on Radar and Shellac and stuff. And that was like 2001 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere right around there. And I remember at the time I was like, aluminum, like what? And so
yeah, it's wild. And he sold it to me for like $800, which is, for me at that time was like a lot of money. But yeah, those are like really coveted collector's items now. They sell for like $4,000 and $5,000.
I was gonna say, because just a neck, like
Yeah.
it will cost $2,000 now, right? Like something like that.
Yeah.
Just like putting an aluminum neck on your Squire or whatever. I mean,
But
hopefully
yeah, I still have it. It still sounds amazing.
That's awesome.
I never get rid of it.
You said that was the first time that y'all broke up. So like,
Yeah.
there was another time.
Yeah, I guess so. So we got back together because we got like an offer to tour in Europe or something like that. I can't really remember all the details because we also like recorded a record, like that self-titled 12-inch or something.
Right.
I don't remember why we did that.
Maybe it's to have something to have to like play on, to have with you at the shows on tour, or?
Oh no, that's what I'm getting at. Like,
I
don't remember like if we recorded it before we got offered to go to Europe, or recorded it and then we got offered to go on tour in Europe. Like, I don't remember the timeline there.
Okay.
Because we definitely made a record. It's the only record I've ever put out to sell on tour in Europe. We made a split with Rep Secchi. But yeah, we got back together and recorded that. And then we definitely recorded it. And then we got offered to go to Europe, and we cobbled together like a lineup to go with like a new drummer. My pal Ben was playing drums. And at the last minute, Josh, our singer, couldn't go. So Antonio did vocals with us on that tour, who was also in Usurp Synapse and was also in that band of CDs stuff I found whenever I go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just like the same mob of like 8 people have been hanging out and doing stuff for, 25 years or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw Antonio on the Discogs like credits page for Maracate, and I was like, I did not know that. So was Antonio on any of the recordings, or was just like it was that tour?
Yeah, he wasn't on any of the recordings.
Oh, okay.
It was just that tour.
Yeah.
Because Josh was going to go, and then just like as we were buying all our plane tickets, he was like, "No, I can't go." And we're like, "Oh, okay."
what to do now?
Yeah, we're still gonna go. So yeah, Antonio ended up coming along because we had recorded 3 or 5 songs or something like that ended up on the Rep Secchi split, and we did that with Josh. Josh was doing the vocals, but yeah, I think he was getting married instead or something. Probably a much better decision.
Was the tour bad? Was the tour in Europe like bad, or?
No, it was great.
No, okay. Just in the long run, like.
Yeah. He's still with his wife, so
there you go.
I think it panned out good for him.
Yeah, sounds good.
No, that tour was cool. Brian, our guitar player, made like a DVD for it, and it's mostly just like sets of other bands playing. We played with like Yaga and Off Minor a whole bunch. And that's when I first met all my Italian pals. So like Phoenix Bodies and my band like Birdbrain and stuff. Played a bunch of shows with like Rain and La Quieta. And I'm still good pals with them. Like last year I went to Italy for my 40th birthday, and it was like I was having a Italian bachelorette party. Like Michele made all these T-shirts with my name, and it said like celebrating 40 years of Derek, but in Italian. So it was like I don't know, whatever, Ani di Dario. And there were like 10 people all wearing these shirts walking around Naples. It was really funny.
That's wild. Yeah, Italians do know how to do it. That's for sure. It's
Oh yeah, I love Italy so much.
yeah. Like yeah, so I didn't know that Birdbrain was a band that you were actually a part of, because I remember the one of the last times when Rain came over that y'all toured with them, right? But like I just misunderstood the post or whatever that I saw when you were talking about it. I thought you were just like, oh, I'm filling in for this band, but that was a band that you had gotten going after Phoenix Bodies then?
Yeah. I guess you could say we were all filling in for the band because we didn't really do anything besides that tour.
Oh, okay.
But no, so like 12 years ago, I moved to Chicago from Indiana. Mm-hmm. And I had been, after when I moved to Chicago, I got a job where I was traveling all the time. And I would go to LA the first week of every month, Seattle the second week of every month, San Francisco the third week of every month. And the fourth week, I would go somewhere else usually. And Brian from Phoenix Bodies had just moved to LA kind of around the same time. And I would go there the first week of every month and we'd hang out. And he's like, oh, I want to start a band, and like, you should be in it. You can just do vocals and do it like remote or whatever. The band was pretty much just Brian wrote all the stuff with a couple other guys. And they would send me stuff and I would write lyrics and whatever. So I was like a member of the band, but we never actually practiced. I would just get tapes, and then like I went and I recorded vocals in like one or maybe two or three sessions for 2 demo tapes that we made. And Brian booked this tour for Rain, and we were the opener on it. And the first time that I ever played the songs with them was our very first show. Like, we never practiced.
Not even like one, like just like earlier that afternoon. It was just like, okay, you're on the stage and it's time to go.
No, nothing at all. So we booked that tour, and our drummer and our bass player both were like, oh no, we can't do this at the last minute. So we got Josh Kuntz to play bass for us. He was in some bands like Bullets and Driving With Our Anchors and stuff. He's an awesome dude. Love that guy.
Yeah, Josh was in Keiki Body with me for towards the end.
Oh my God. I forgot that was a thing. But yeah. That's right. So he was playing bass, and then we flew in our friend Justin, who's a magician and plays in this band, The Cell Phones, to play drums. Brian drove up from LA to San Francisco. Justin flew into San Francisco, and they practiced for like 4 hours or something. And they're like, all right, we got it. Like, we're all old and know how to play fast punk rock because we've been doing it our whole lives. So they were like tight as fuck and like really good. And I was like in Seattle for work. I was like having business meetings with like Starbucks and Oracle and stuff. And I was just, this was a stark moment. So I was in Seattle for work. I was staying at a 5-star hotel that was just like the company is paying for everything, and like getting room service every day. I was getting like an almond croissant and vanilla black tea, like brought to my room in the morning before I had meetings and stuff all day. And then as soon as like my quote unquote vacation started, Josh picked me up in this like rusted out like van with like 9 other people in it. And, like, I just crawl in there, and we go to our show, and I was like, we had already like recorded our demo, and it was on Bandcamp, and I was like Googling the lyrics to our songs because I forgot them, which was nice. So, like I put it on, and it was cool. Like, and this is like a weird thing too, is this is kind of like why I was like, I don't want to play music anymore. That band was well received, and the shows were like really good. And like people were singing along to these songs that had just like existed for a few weeks. And I was just like, I don't really derive pleasure out of this like I used to anymore. Like everything's great, but like it's not like juicing me up. Like at the time I was super into just like traveling and camping and going to national parks and stuff like that. And I was like, I would rather be doing that than playing in this band. Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun band. And all we did was that tour. We got back from tour. We were going to do some other stuff. And then like our real bass player, quote unquote, like threw a fit about something. And we're just like, we're too old to like get in arguments about if you want to play a show or not. So we're just not going to do this anymore.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that, you know, the fact that the crowd knew the lyrics better than you was the straw that broke your back. It was just like, look, when they know the song's better. Yeah, no, that's
no. They knew the easy, catchy songs, and I definitely knew those. But there was some goofy things going on. So like at the time, I was super into that band Wrangler Brutes that Sam McFeeters was in. And they have this song called like Unmentionables, where it's just like so many words, like so fast, and it's like so unhinged. I loved it. And there was like some song I made that was all just like tongue twisters. And I was trying to like sing like real fast. I thought it was really silly, and I forgot like what that was and stuff like that. Yeah. That was fun.
I intentionally like try to not. I'm always like, I write too many words. I need to write less words, and I try, and then I'm still like, this is too many words. Like, I do remember a time when I was like younger, and you're playing like in bands with a D beat part, you know, in every song, and I was just like, oh, you should just like, oh, just fire off at the mouth, just like blah 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 blah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Like that's not let's not do that. I use up all the words, you know. I'm like bands that have like a 3-minute song and it's just like 4 lines. I'm like, that is so cool. Like, but I just can't shut up, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so oftentimes like lyrics are just like, for some people, an afterthought, or they almost like a necessary evil, where it's like, oh, I made a song, I guess I had to like sing on it. And like sometimes it's just like bad.
Yeah.
I really like, I also at the time, I think that like I appreciated, but also sort of annoyed me too, was like people would feel like they needed to explain their song and like talk about what the song meant to them and why they wrote it. And I always just thought like, if you just wrote better lyrics, you wouldn't need to do that, you know? Like,
yeah, that's a topic that just came up. Like, but like my friend who brought this topic up is like has like a doctorate in English, so it's not it's not exactly a fair like. You can't.
Yeah, and like
you can't counter that discussion with him. Is what I'm trying to say. You can't say, "Well."
Well, no, but like where I'm coming from initially too is just like, hey, we just want to create something with our friends, and maybe we're not good at it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're not great at writing lyrics, and you want to express what this means to someone, and you have to go talk about it. That's fine. for me though, that was always a goal. Like I didn't want to have to explain my lyrics. I was fine with there being like ambiguities, but if there were, it was on purpose. And sometimes they were for me to understand if people actually were coming from the same place that I was.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I used to write, like I've talked about this before, where it's like I used to write a lot of songs in like from a different person's perspective, and that like I never looked at it the way that you did. Like that would have actually been helpful. Like yeah, but it's like I have had that interaction where it's like someone is like, yeah, this is my favorite song from this record, and they like quote some lyric that I'm like, yeah, that's from the point of view of like a really like shitty person. Like you're supposed to know that's like that's not an okay thing to say or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and so and it really does. It is a litmus test in a way where you're just like, yeah, okay, we're done talking right now. You know, like if that's your takeaway.
Exactly.
But yeah, it did inform like how I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to write lyrics like that. But I mean, if I had my way at a show, like because for some reason the last like I didn't used to get like nervous before playing or whatever, and then at some point I started getting nervous before playing. So now I'm just like, I really like other people like want to tune their guitars and stuff, and like that's understandable, but I'm always just like the person that like I feel awkward silence is like a knife, like, you know, being thrown right at me. And it's like, if I had my way, it would just be like, that song's over, click, 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 next song. I don't mind, you know, just being like, okay, this song is about this, you know? And I think that some bands were good at like creating a dialogue, you know, based on like Tom Schlatter's bands. I feel like we're always really good at that. Like, you know, creating a dialogue by sort of saying like, this is what the song's about. And like, you know, like we're starting this dialogue so people can take better care of each other, I guess, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, it is interesting because it's like, yeah, if you, on the one hand, like, you know, if the lyrics are really good, then you can take them to mean a lot of things. And I don't know, that's a fine line, I guess, where it's like,
or if they're really good, they're only going to mean one thing.
Right. That's how I was trying to like, yeah, that's the reverse.
And it's like sometimes it's your intention to mean possibly many things, and sometimes it's not. But yeah, like with Phoenix Bodies and a lot of bands that I was in, for me, the live show was a thing unto itself. It wasn't about like, here are songs and you can hear them and we're going to play them for you and this is what they're about. It was like, here is this like fucking ridiculous explosion of like energy and silly stuff that is really just like the sentiment that you're going to get out of like a basement show anyway. Like you're not going to hear like what the guitar and drums like actually sound like. You're not going to understand what I'm like yelling through a microphone that may or may not work. Like, let's just make this like one big expression and like truly like entertainment almost, because that's the main reason people are going to these things is like when the band is actually playing, it's to have fun. And then, you can chat and be, contemplative about things later or in between or something. But to me, it was all just about setting a moment in a scene, and not really about like presenting a song. Like the performance was a different thing unto itself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think like I've always just looked at it as it's like it's its own version of the songs or whatever, like, because it's like you said, like
Yeah, sure.
you don't even know like what kind of acoustics experience or whatever that you're going into. Like you can be as like well practiced as whatever you want, but something can turn it on its ear like almost every single time in
Yeah.
those kinds of situations. So yeah, you just go for it. And like, that's for sure what y'all were trying to do with like, the toilet paper rolls and the body parts everywhere. And but like, yeah, I wanted to, like, I think we kind of got there as far as like, what your mission statement was with that is to just like to be expressive and create an almost like like a lasting unique memory / experience, with each show. But like, I was curious, like, that there had to be times when that didn't go over very well. So like, what's your...
Yeah, but we never wanted it to go over very well, was a thing.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, like, y'all, when y'all played My Basement, you're like, we're going to do this, but it's like, we're going to take
well, that's
care of
because
it.
we liked you and we didn't
Okay.
want to like.
Fair. Well, I appreciate that.
Like that's what we do. If we liked and respected and knew, we would always do like check in because I was like super into DIY and booking shows and running spaces, and like the last thing we'd ever want to do is get a place shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear that we did, or we were banned from places a bunch of times. But yeah, we were going to do something stupid like every night. One of the most infamous things that happened is we were playing a fest, and I was just like milling about the hundreds of people that are there or whatever. And Thomas, who was our other singer at the time, was just drinking a gallon of strawberry milk. And I'm like, why do you have this milk? He's like, oh, I'm drinking all this. I'm going to throw up all over you while we play. I was like, God damn it, you're not. And he sure enough did, and like he tried to throw up on me, but he missed, and he just threw up all over someone like in the front row of the crowd.
Oh my.
Yeah, and there was just like gross, like half digested strawberry milk all over like everything. So I mean, yeah, stuff would go wrong all the time like that. But it was like on purpose. And like a lot of the nudity and stuff too was because we were playing like this hyper like masculine, tough, like loud music. And we would get lumped in with like hardcore bands, and like we were not about like beat down music or violence or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when people would like start like being violent at our shows, like our way to deflect it would be like I would grab them and give them a kiss, or like we would just like get naked and jump on top of them, and it would deflect the whole situation and like completely change the dynamic of that. And yeah, we would get in fights and stuff, like whatever. But it was always just like, let's shut down like this nonsense tough guy thing that's going to like hurt people that are not paying attention or not ready for it, and just bring it directly to us. Because if we're causing you to do that, we'll take the brunt of it. It's like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Was the strawberry milk thing like that? You said that was the most infamous. Was that like, like I don't mean like worst, like, but is that the like? Was there an instance where you know the venue was just like, yeah, no more? You said you got like banned from venues. Like, what was the?
Yeah, the only one that I can remember immediately is there was some place in Bloomington, Indiana. It was like a video store or something, and they also had shows. And we played there with an Albatross, who were also pretty wild. And like we got an email the next day, like both bands were banned. We could never play there again. I don't remember what happened. I don't think it was anything.
See, I at a show that I played in high school, I thought it would be a really cool idea to. I worked at my uncle's restaurant, and we bought like I asked my uncle. I said, "Can I buy a case of the Jell-O that you make for the salad bar? Like, can I buy it like the wholesale price? And can I make it here at work and take it out in these like 10-gallon like pig buckets?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can. I don't care. Yeah." So we had like 5 of these like 10-gallon pig buckets full of Jell-O, and we took it to this show that we played at this place that was basically like, it used to be a Red Lobster, but then somebody else bought it, and it was like, you know, it was like a restaurant like that, but they let us have this show there. And
I will come back to live music if I can only play places that used to be a Red Lobster.
Right?
Do the whole tour.
and like and everyone in my band knew that this was about to happen, but no one else knew that this was about to happen. And we brought out the Jell-O, and we just like threw it at everyone, like while we were playing. And like everyone was having a good time. Everyone was like throwing it at each other, and everyone was like whatever. But then it, like, the PA that we brought was like our singer's dad's PA, and it got on the PA, and it was this, like, it didn't ruin anything. It was a huge mess, obviously. And so like the singer was like real mad, and like he knew all about it, so it was whatever. But like we did try to just like leave after and not clean it up, and like it didn't. I mean, I was like 17, you know, so like I was just like, you know, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't." And so we were there for like a couple hours, and you know, we were, like I said, we were 17, so there was no way we did a good job like cleaning that up, you know. But like we were there a couple hours like cleaning that up, and it was that was like you know, our band almost broke up because of that, and we weren't allowed to play at this former Red Lobster anymore. And it was like, it's really funny at this point, you know, because it's just like, oh, boo-hoo, you know, like, but I figured that, you know, y'all had to have had a way wilder story than Jell-O, or, you know, but the vomit, that's...
Oh yeah, there's like a lot of them. There's like 2 or 3 that come to mind. Like one that could have been really bad and wasn't is we played this festival in Detroit with like Black Dahlia Murder and all these like metalcore bands and stuff. And there were tons of people there. And we had done a few things. We brought a piñata that we filled full of flour. So when people smashed it open, they just got white flour all over their like black t-shirts and hair and stuff, which we thought was hilarious. That was the harmless piece of that. We also brought this old copy machine that I had, and we were taking like copies of each other's asses like on stage while we were playing and throwing those out into the crowd. And we started smashing the copy machine, and the copy machine had this huge plate of glass in it.
Oh no.
And I picked up this huge plate of glass and I just threw it like into the pit, and it didn't hit anyone. But like as soon as I let go, I was like, oh my God, that was the dumbest thing possible.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I probably could have killed somebody.
Yeah. Well, luck was on everyone's side that day.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
People were more mad about the piñata full of flour than me throwing a piece of plate glass at people.
Where did this copy machine come from? How did you have a copy machine that A, worked, and B, you could just trash?
Oh, it was really old. I got it at like a garage sale or like a free table or something, like a school was giving away. It was not like cutting edge technology. So
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, like, I definitely was in a band where like the singer like brought TVs and we smashed them, which is like that I mean, I've seen plenty of bands do that, and like now that I'm like a little more reasonable, I'm like,
Gang of Four does it every night still.
it's like, yeah, that could have been a bad time in a couple instances where like somebody's smashing a TV with a bat and then just like throws it, you know, like
and glass gets in someone's eye or something like that.
It just like, you know, lands on someone and the glass is and the weight of a, you know, 30-pound TV or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. Scary. But I mean, I don't know. I think the scariest thing with that band was when we played at this one place, and it was a motorcycle repair shop, but they had shows there, and it was like in like Georgia or Alabama, I can't remember exactly. And the vocalist like was told like one rule was like, do not touch any of those bikes, because like the bikes that they were fixing were just like there in a row. And of course he does like he just like first song just like gets up and starts walking across them like he's Crocodile Dundee or something. And I thought we were going to get murdered. Like I thought we were gonna, but the guy just like came over and just like straight just like yanked him off the bikes, and then we just kept playing, and that was that. But I don't know. It's yeah, we're both telling like the worst stories, and at the same time we're like, if we could, if we still didn't know any better, like that would be fun. But yeah, I don't know. But that's, you know, that's the way it is. It's a little Jello, a little flour, you know. People get mad, and in the end, it's like I bet that like if anybody is still mad about the Jello now, if anybody's still mad about the flour, like come on, you know.
Yeah,
but
that was 22 years ago or something.
Yeah, or it's just like I could sell this shirt for $200 on Depop if it weren't ruined with flour. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, like you know, you've said a couple times that, you know, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm not interested in like doing music like for people and stuff, but like you still kind of found a way to be a part of like that scene with like Tectonic Tourist. Was that a consideration of yours, like when you started like the company or whatever? Was it like, this is a way that I can still contribute in some way or be a part of that? Or was that just like...
For sure. I mean, really, it came about in a chain of like long events. Like the first times I toured Europe, I became really enamored with the guy who I think I still is in business, this guy Smoof in the Netherlands that we'd rent our equipment from. I just thought he was really cool and had like nice stuff, and I just thought it was a neat business. And then when I was in grad school, like not touring too much, I had a big van that I'd bought from like doing road construction and stuff, that I rented out when I wasn't on tour. And it was just like the only way I had any money when I was in grad school. And it was nice and easy to run that business. And I had had all these nice memories of like renting stuff on tour in Europe. And I was like, I could do that. So after I had had some money saved up, like I bought a van, I already had some equipment around, and really just kind of started the company as an excuse to buy like every guitar amp. That's really all it came down to. So now I have this like crazy collection of stuff. But yeah, I like helping people out. Like my rates are really cheap compared to everything else on the market. And it's like punk rock. Like you're going to get something that's reliable and works, but you know, maybe like the ceiling is like stained and gross or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's helped me reconnect with some people too. Like, I'm sure like I would have saw the Usurp guys this weekend anyway, but you know, they reached out to me well in advance of them playing or anything like that, cause they needed a van. And yeah, it just keeps me in touch with people. It's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it totally like makes sense how it's like, I mean, just to be able to have an excuse to like, you're like, you know, I've always wanted to play one of those. Like, why don't I just get one? And
Yeah.
because somebody will need to use that. And yeah, so I mean, of course I have this like 5150 or whatever it is, you know. I don't
I currently need to buy one, and I might, but I don't know.
yeah. Not
This
your
band
vibe,
was
huh?
like, "We need a 5150," and another guy emailed me. He's like, "Do you want to buy my 5150?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do, but I don't want to spend $1,000 right now." So I'm sorry.
Yeah. Very fair. I've almost ended up with one like at a very good price, but it would have had to been shipped to me, and I was like, oh, I am so nervous about that part that I was
Yeah,
just like, maybe not. Like I mean,
I've had to ship amps and stuff from here to California because my pal Brian, that was in Phoenix Buddies, helps me run the business out of LA,
mhm,
and it's all right.
yeah,
It'll work.
it's
Yeah.
just like so. I mean, like I ship a record to Milwaukee, and that's like 3 hours from here in a car, and
Mhm.
it shows
Yeah.
up and it looks like a dog chewed on it, and someone like, you know, put it in a parakeet
Yeah,
cage, and
that's
like
true.
I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, like this has tubes in it, and it's but
Yeah.
yeah, it's I
Well,
don't know.
sometimes bands will buy stuff from like Fender or Hiwatt, or they're sponsored and they'll mail me stuff, and they just send the whole damn thing like all put together. Like a 300-watt tube bass amp will just show up in like a box with some styrofoam in it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's how they do it.
yeah, it's wild. They must, I mean, I don't know, they like maybe they have some kind
YouTube
of
is a great resource if you need a amp shipped. There's pretty much a video for every exact type of amp, how you take the tubes apart, how you wrap them up to ship it. So I bought like a Fender Twin from some guy for like $400, like a '73 Silverface one.
mhm.
And I was like, all right, I'll get this shipped because the other one's $400. I'll give him $550 to ship it really nice. And yeah, I got it, and it was great. So it's
Yeah,
worth it sometimes.
now I'm having the FOMO on that 5150, but that's okay. That's okay. Um but yeah, it's it's wild. It's like, you know, we had like been at shows 20 something years ago, and then we've only really run into each other twice since then. And
Yeah.
it's weird how like, you know, this kind of music that was just like barely a thing when we like met each other is still like bringing people together and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I ran into Dave Rudnick in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And like, we were talking about when we first met, which was at the Greenbush House in like 1998 or something like that.
No shit. That was like one of the 7 days shows was the first time.
No. It was a Kung Fu Rick
Oh,
show.
Kung Fu Rick even.
Yeah. And I was like, it was weird then because like, I was like, you almost killed me because he jumped off the ramp with his bass, and I was like 15 or something and weighed like 100 pounds. And he was like 20 and like fully grown.
Yeah.
And like, he's giant. If you don't know this guy, he's like 6'4", probably 220 or something, like all muscle. And I was like, it's funny I get to see you today because like when I first met you, you almost ended my life. And at the time you were like so much older than me, but now we're basically like the same age and we're still alive.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man. And like, we were talking driving up there. They're like, I think that's the only person we know in Milwaukee that might be at this show. And sure enough, he showed up. It was great to see him.
Yeah. I have run into Dave a few times, and it's always wonderful. Not as often as I'd like. I do end up in Milwaukee a lot, but
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, well, I was am in a band. I mean, we haven't played in forever, and everybody else lives in Milwaukee, so it's like we get asked like as the local a lot, you know.
Oh, yeah.
and
Sure.
and it's just like me driving 8-hour round trip to play for 13 minutes, you know.
That's what it was like with Phoenix Bodies. None of us ever lived in the same town. Like all of us, pretty much all the time, all lived in at least 4 different cities. And then like, we didn't like have like a real breakup. It was just like, Thomas moved to North Carolina, to Asheville. Kevin moved to Charlotte. I moved to Chicago. Brian moved to LA. And then Kevin moved to Portland, Oregon. And yeah, we just don't live anywhere near each other.
It's just kind of like that's that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, that'll do it. I mean, I don't know. I keep waiting for that time where I am like, yeah, maybe it's like the reward is outweighed by the effort.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you know,
I mean, hopefully it never comes. Like, it's great that you have sources of joy in your life. There's nothing to judge about.
For sure.
So, like, don't be like, well, this is coming, or I hope it is. Like, if you love something and it's still awesome, then continue to love it, man. Like, it's great.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else that we should chat about? Like, I mean, you know, we've kind of covered everything. Like, it's not that often when I have a conversation for the show where like somebody doesn't have something to plug, or I mean, you know,
man, I have no agenda.
No, it's totally fine. It's chill. It's just like, yeah. I never know. Like,
There's no reunion happening. There's no Dude Fest happening. People always ask me if I'm ever going to do that stuff again. I'm like, if you want Phoenix Bodies to play a show, like, you can be in the band, like, go for it. Like,
you do it.
Like, you can spend the $6,000 it's going to cost just to have a practice.
Oh yeah, wow.
Like, go for it. Yeah, like, I have no agenda. Just happy to chat, reconnect, all that sort of stuff.
For sure. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I guess just to put a pin on it, like, if folks are out there and they're, you know, looking for gear rental or van rental for a tour, I've sent a couple people your way. I don't know how that's worked out, whether anyone's been in touch with you or whatever, but It's just tectonictourist.com, right? And
Yep.
That's how you can get in touch. And, you know, the van might smell funky, but it's going to be cheap and it's going to run well.
Hopefully it doesn't smell bad, but it happens sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I have that going on. Like again, it's a side project in my life, so sometimes it takes me a week or two to get back on emails and stuff. So.
And that was my conversation with Derek Black. Thank you so much, Derek, for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening as well. Don't forget to stop by patreon.com/humanmachine and follow us on Instagram @everythingremade. Until next time, take care and do good things.